Hi, I'm Steve. I'm an English teacher. I make some YouTube videos about Cambridge exams B2, C1, and this one is about New Year's resolutions. I'm going to be a bit quiet today because I have a 15-month-old baby sleeping next to me and I don't want to wake him up while I'm recording. And my New Year's resolution is to help him sleep better. I want to try and get him to sleep by himself every night, which requires a detailed plan and a lot of effort from myself. But I'm sure we'll get there. With determination and willpower, you can achieve anything in life, can't you? So stay with me, and if your goal is a B2 C1, this is the video you want to watch. This is a lesson that I did with all my classes in school and private classes about New Year's resolutions at this time of year to try and make it a bit more interesting. So we're not just doing random grammar activities or reading random books, but no, it's relevant to your life and it's a bit more interesting. The starter that I did in class was common New Year's resolutions, which is a little bit of a collocation exercise because thinking which verb goes with which expression, fairly easy. You probably paused the video, you probably didn't even need to, and you figured all these out, but you're going to get exercise, eat healthier, save up money, quit smoking, lose weight, read books, learn a skill, and make friends. Obviously very easy. Which is the easiest, the most difficult, the one you might consider doing? Talk to the person next to you. If there's no one there, talk to the wall. Unlike one of those English textbooks that tells you to talk in pairs and talk in groups and things, you can do it if you're in that situation. Go ahead. So there's your starter. Let's move on to the real point of this video, the use of English. I've made 4 parts of the use of English related to New Year's resolutions, which are all original texts, testing the kind of B2 C1 level, probably hard B1, easy C1 level. B2, sorry, hard B2, easy C1. So you can watch the video, you can pause the video, you can do them yourself, you can think about what you are learning for the use of English. Pause the video, try and do part 1, complete the blanks using the best word, and here come the answers. Number 1, of course, is to make plans. You make plans, that's a collocation. Number 2, for the better. You change something for the better. That's another expression. Number 3, January the 1st is a date, a little bit of reading comprehension there, fairly easy one. And number 4, you want to quit things like smoking, quit smoking. Number 5, another bit of reading plus collocation. The key word is promises, which are broken. You keep or break promises. And number 6, to was the key. You can't say before to. We need something that means before, but with to, it's prior to. Number 7 was the most difficult. Yeah, number 7. No, that was not the most difficult one. I'm thinking about the next part. Number 7, if people do something year after year, then they tend to do it, as in they do it again and again. And number 8, this is an expression, to have a hard time doing something. To have a hard time doing it means it is difficult, it is a struggle, it is a battle, but the expression is to have a hard time. You should have a score out of 8. For B2, you should be getting 5 out of 8. For C1, you should probably be getting almost all of them. Maybe one little mistake is understandable because no one's perfect, but I'm considering these like the easy C1 questions that you should be getting plenty of marks on if you're working towards C1. That's part 1. Let's move on to part 2. Part 2 is a continuation of the same text, but I've made it part 2 this time, so there's no options. Pause the video, think about the common grammatical words, prepositions, articles, common verbs, relative pronouns, all these things that will go in these gaps. And here come the answers. Number 1, the range, the span, ranging from something to something, ranging from X to Y. That was the key clue there. Number 2 is an expression, you go on a trip. Number 3, most of us, that's people, that's plural, we are not good at sticking to our New Year's resolutions. And in fact, 71% of us stick to our annual promises the first 2 weeks. So the key thing here is the duration, how long we stick to the promises, only 2 weeks. That's the duration, the preposition is for. 6 months later, less than 50%, easy one. Number 6 is the most difficult one because we are referring to people who give up on their resolutions. And people who give up on their resolutions do so because, so they give up because. So people who give up because. That's the meaning of that sentence. That do so makes it a bit complicated. Not many people in my class got that right in my classes. Number 7 is a bit of an easy one because a lack of willpower. It's a thing, so it's because of a thing. Because verb phrase, because of noun phrase. And the last one, you're going to try again next year. Easy. Again, score out of 8 with the same sort of criteria. 5 for B2, 6, 7, 8 for C1. Let's move on to part 3. New Year's resolutions again. We might be getting bored of this, but this is a bit of a deep dive into the psychology. I nearly said the answer there. The psychology of why we break New Year's resolutions, according to ChatGPT. Anyway, this was made by ChatGPT. So, as you've seen in my previous videos, very useful for part 3 to be using ChatGPT. Pause the video, transform number 1 so that it fits gap number 1, number 2 for gap number 2, and so on. And here come the answers. Well, how do they break their resolutions? They break them frequently due to environmental and psychological factors. And then, because their goals are unrealistic, because of social pressures to make us all be thin and make us all be grinding and all these kind of things, this sets you up for failure, the action of failing, the state of failing, failure. Initially, you have a lot of motivation, you are very motivated. Think about other possibilities for the words always, always thinking about psychologically, powerless, objections. These are not the answers if you're paying attention. Immediate gratification is more powerful than long-term objectives with an S, because there's no article. What can mess up your New Year's resolutions? Unexpected life events. And finally, this is not easy, it's tricky situations. It is tricky to make changes to your life. So there's part 3, give yourself a score, well done, and move on to part 4. There's only 4 because when I did this in class I was making it 8 points for each. Obviously in the real exam there's 6. Rules here, let's make it a bit of a hybrid B2-C1, minimum 3, maximum 5 words. These are pretty easy for C1, so you should be getting a lot of these. But pause the video, write in your answers. And number 1, a good idea to give up. It's to give, because with good idea we need to use the infinitive. And obviously give up means not drinking. Number 2, the craziest. Then I've never heard such a crazy resolution before. And number 3, take any notice, pay any attention to. That's the collocation. We need to know the preposition. If you're watching these videos, you should know by now that you get 1 mark for each part of the line, either side of the line. 1 mark for such a, 1 mark for crazy. If you said, I've never heard such a craziest, you got 1 mark because you messed up this part, like some people in my classes did. And number 4, maybe he forgot. Well, he might have forgotten, with the past participle and the modal auxiliary to suggest that it's past tense. That's how we use it. So score out of 8, you've got a total out of 32, when you need 21 points to be passing B2, and then probably 26, 27 to be passing C1, because like I said, these are the easier parts of the C1 questions. Any new expressions, any new grammar you didn't get, write it in your notes. Keep a record of the things you're learning, look at it again next week. These are typical Cambridge kind of expressions that you'll see again and again on the exam, so this is how to practice. We're not going to do the listening from Nathan For You. Go and watch Nathan For You, one of the best comedies of recent years. We are going to do a little bit of writing. Well, I say that, I can't force you, can I? I can force the kids in my class and shout at them and tell their parents how naughty they are if they don't do it. But you can do it. You can send it to me. My email is in the description of the video, so feel free to contact me. But I think a writing about your New Year's resolution is a nice exercise to express yourself in English about something personal to you, to give yourself a chance to write about something a bit more interesting than the traffic problems in your local city, like the essays in the Cambridge exams always are. But I'd suggest writing it in a bit of a Cambridge style. So think about how you are expressing yourself, write in paragraphs, link the ideas together in a logical way, develop the ideas. Don't just say, I want to study more, because studying is important, and if you study, you are good, and studying is great. That's not a developed idea. Think about why you want to study for your long-term objectives, like we saw in part 3. Think about how you'll stick to that goal. What will you do every day to make it a specific, realistic goal? Think about time that you might set aside every day to study. Think about people that you might give your phone to stop distractions. That's a common one that students need to do nowadays. Maybe in a plan, you could think about a school study resolution, a hobby resolution, exercise, fitness, that kind of thing, and a more personal one that you might be related to your personality or the way you see the world. Some nice phrases for this kind of thing to vary your vocab. I'm interested in, my intention is to, I'm hoping to, all the way of saying what you want to do. Nice phrases that you can use for this kind of writing. So that's a writing. Write it, send it to me. I will not correct it, but hey, we might start talking. And finally, a speaking. A B2 speaking is part 2, so you need to compare the photos and, very, very importantly, answer the question. Focus on the question. Why people made these New Year's resolutions. So you're thinking about why people made them, and pause the video, try and do it yourself. 1 minute to compare the photos and say why people made these New Year's resolutions. And you might say something like, well, both photos show common New Year's resolutions like losing weight or playing the piano. And I think they're fairly different in a few ways though, because while they're both self-improvement, they're improvement in different ways. People obviously want to lose weight, to get fitter, to look better, to be healthier. But maybe playing the piano is a bit more like a creative, artistic goal that you want to meet. So while they're both difficult, but they're also both very satisfying. And I think people will make New Year's resolutions for those reasons, to improve their life, like being fitter, or to be able to express yourself in an artistic, creative way, like playing the piano, for example, and go on until the 1 minute is up, or until someone interrupts you and says, please stop talking. Right, that's going to be about it. Obviously, there would be another little question, but that's a nice place to finish. We've done a bit of every skill. As I said, hope it's useful. There'll be more B2 C1 Cambridge videos coming. Thank you. Goodbye.